Now, there was a point not long ago when I almost walked away from the watch trade entirely. It wasn't because I'd lost passion for watches, it's because I'd lost faith, frankly, in the business. I'd been through the high of selling $30,000 Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks during the boom, and then the gut-wrenching low of watching those same pieces drop thousands of pounds overnight. I'd witnessed friends, good, honest dealers vanish when the market crashed, and I remember thinking, maybe the watch market isn't broken. Perhaps it's just the way we're all approaching it. That single thought completely changed everything for me because it forced me to rebuild how I operated from the ground up. I stopped chasing hype, stopped gambling on the next hot model, and instead I built something stable. What I'm about to share with you is the exact system that grew from that collapse. It's what turned my passion for watches into a real business. Not a gamble, not a side hustle, but a real profitable structure. Now, before I explain how my system works, you need to understand why it had to exist in the first place. See, my background isn't in sales or luxury retail. It's in finance. I was a fund accountant working at the Bank of New York Mellon. Spreadsheets, forecasts, late nights under fluorescent lights, and from the outside, it looked like a success. But inside, it was empty. Every week was the same, and I knew I was just building something for somebody else's future and not mine. Now, you may have bought and sold pieces from your own collection. You go through the usual mental gymnastics of how you can justify that purchase. I mean, you've got to explain it somehow to your missus. So you convince yourself that it's an investment that maybe you can flip for a profit later on. But what really happens? You might make a few £100s during a market boom, feel like a genius, and then trade another one and lose a few £100s when the market cools off. Buying a piece that you fell in love with from an obscure brand, something with real history maybe, only to discover though that it has zero liquidity on the market. It just sits in your watch box, thousands of pounds of your capital frozen. And that quiet fear in the back of your mind as a collector is very real. What if I make a simple mistake? What if I buy a clever fake or buy a watch and it turns out suddenly it needs a £2,000 service? Now, I don't just understand that feeling, I've lived it. My journey into this business started from that exact place of frustration as a collector. Watches were my escape. Starting out, I took my entire savings and bought my first luxury watch. I didn't go out and try and buy something flashy. I couldn't. I bought an old, frankly knackered and undervalued Tag Heuer, things that most dealers would ignore. But I saw the hidden potential. I taught myself how to pop off the bezel and replace it with a genuine one, how to source bracelet links, a genuine Tag Heuer box, how to polish the case correctly whilst preserving its clean lines, all to add tangible value. Like most collectors though, I got bored of it pretty quickly and sold it for a small predictable profit. I then reinvested the funds and did it again and again. My process was methodical, it was cautious. It was an accountant's approach. Slowly over the next few years, that £1,000 grew into £100,000. It became more than enough for a collection of Omegas and Tudors and eventually vintage Rolexes. I'd worked my way up from the very bottom of the market, learning the real-world lessons where the financial stakes were low. I was building my business brick by brick, learning the true mechanics of this trade far away from the big pieces and all of the market speculation that surrounded them. And then the bubble happened. The market went completely insane almost overnight and prices were skyrocketing weekly. If you weren't trading stainless steel sports watches, then you were leaving an insane amount of money on the table. So I rode the wave, and we did indeed make some excellent profits. I remember timing the Patek Philippe Tiffany auction perfectly. We bought a Rolex Oyster Perpetual with the same turquoise dial for £15,000 just before the auction, almost 3 times its retail price, and it felt like a massive gamble. But my analysis suggested that the fervour from that auction would spill over. The Patek sold indeed for over $4 million, and overnight the Rolex became the most wanted watch on the planet. We sold ours a week later for £25,000, £10,000 in profit in just 7 days. That was the peak. That was the fantasy. And then inevitably, the market crashed. Watches we had in stock that would have sold quickly before very quickly became a hot potato. And I remember the feeling in my gut watching trade prices fall day by day, evaporating on the spreadsheet in real time. It forced me to see the truth. The speculative market is not a business, it's a casino, and the house always wins. It forced me to ask a simple question: where was the real predictable low risk profit in this game? And it wasn't in those flashy Rolex Daytonas. No, it was in the sub £5,000 market. Those Omegas, those Breitlings, those Tudors that most real collectors can actually afford to buy and wear. The truth is, the profit margin on a £20,000 Daytona is razor thin. You're competing with every big dealer in the world, and you might make a few £100s if you're lucky. And it could take months to sell, leaving your capital tied up and dangerously exposed. But a sub £5,000 watch, well, that's a different world. Let me give you a recent specific example. A few weeks ago, I found an Omega Seamaster chronograph from the late 1990s. It was a naked watch with no back box or papers. The bezel was scratched to hell, the bracelet was very tired, and it was listed for £1,600, and we managed to negotiate it down to £1,300. Now, a beginner would see a worn out old watch. I, however, saw a clear, structured opportunity. We sourced a new original bezel for £80. We paid £100 for a professional refinish to the case and bracelet, and we found a period correct Omega box for another £80. We then ran a check on the watch register for £10, and the total investment was around £1,600 by the end. We listed that with professional photos, a time grapher report proving the movement's health nestled in that original Omega box, and alongside the watch register certificate to give undeniable trust. It was advertised and sold for £2,600 on eBay, and after fees that resulted in £800 worth of clear, predictable profit. Now think about that. For the price of one risky Daytona, you could buy 10 of these Omegas and make 3 or 4 times the profit in half the time. After years then of refining this exact process and watching many collectors get their fingers burned, I've decided to do something I've never done before. I'm going to personally guide fellow enthusiasts as they build this exact watch business from scratch. And let me be clear about what this is. It is a one-to-one mentorship with me. So whether you're looking to learn the skills to flip watches on the side profitably, or you want to go the whole way and build a professional trading business from scratch, then I'm here to guide you through that process. First, you get direct one-to-one access to me. We will have 10 one-on-one Zoom calls over 90 days. Over those calls, I'll deliver step-by-step lectures covering every corner of the business. We'll be reviewing potential deals and strategizing your next move together. And in between those calls, you'll have direct access to me over text and email. Second, we set you up to operate like a professional from day one. We will hop on a call and guide you through step-by-step setting up storefronts on eBay and Chrono24. Third, I will ship to you my curated professional toolkit. This includes all of the things that you need to work in this industry, and of course with a tutorial from myself on how to use those tools. It will also feature a time grapher, the single tool needed that separates an amateur from a professional. Now, because this is such a personalized program, my core promise to you is simple. You will leave the program with a tangible, oven-ready business asset and the complete lifelong skill set to profit from the watch market. And the goal is for your first sales to have paid for the program by the end of our 90 days together. But this isn't for everyone. I'm looking for serious enthusiasts who want to build on their passion to turn it into an enterprise, because who doesn't want to work with the things that they love? I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? So in the description of this video, there is a link to a short quiz. Fill it out honestly, and I will personally review every application. If I think that we will be a good fit for each other, then I will contact you to schedule a call. Whether you apply or not, I hope this video has showed you what's possible when you stop gambling and start building with intent. Because the watch market isn't dead. It's just maturing, and those who learn to adapt will own the next chapter.